everybody, SONGOSHUAKU'S here, and welcome to a review/discussion for Dragon Ball Super Episode 126, Surprise Even a God, Vegeta's Desperate Blow. Alright, and joining me is my guest, TheLinuxVirus.
What's going on, guys? We need to get into this episode!
If you're wondering why Linux is so excited, he is a huge Vegeta fan. It is his favorite character in the series, so those of you who have seen the episode, you can understand why he's excited. And hey, even though I'm the Son Goku fan, he's my favorite character, I think Vegeta has been long overdue for big moments, as I stated when I first started doing these reviews. So it's a big moment for me as well. But anyway, let's start off with the very first minute or so. Little mini rant here. Oh boy, this took me back to watching early Naruto episodes when when you would watch the Naruto episode in the first 5, maybe even 10 minutes would be a retelling, the exact replay of what you just saw in the last episode. Now I know I'm exaggerating with that, but they start the first minute or so is the exact showing of what we just saw in the last episode. Now, I understand that in manga and anime, typically, this is usually a way to kind of sort of fill out space so that the manga can reach more details in the story, so the anime can get further behind. But there is none of that with this. The original material is Toriyama Akira's monologue, so I'm not sure what happened. Maybe it's a budget thing. They wanted to free up a minute and a half or 2 minutes or whatever of the episode. I just kind of thought it was unnecessary, but we had to go ahead and see it. Granted, the beatdown was tremendous, but I didn't like them starting off the first episode. I don't know why. Maybe they're just trying to save all the resources for the big finale. How did you like this episode starting off with an exact showing? I mean, before in Dragon Ball, we've had cases like you get the awesome animation of Trunks slicing down Frieza in half, and then they re-show the exact same scene, just not animated as well. All you who've watched Dragon Ball Z know what I'm talking about. Just look at Trunks' chin. But this wasn't even reanimated. This was a exact replay of what we just saw. And after a whole week, we want to see what happens next, and we had to wait another 1 or 2 minutes. What was your thoughts on the way they started this episode?
When it came to that, I was more so like, it didn't bother me as much as apparently it bothered you. But I did find it weird considering they'd actually been doing very good with the previews. That's one of the things that I've actually liked about Super is how they've been handling the previews and giving you almost bits and pieces of the next episode without giving you the whole thing. And that's what I was expecting to get. But I guess in this one, I don't mind it because after watching this episode, if they would have shown you anything in that like way, it would have spoiled the entire episode. Like, I can't think of anything that they could have shown in that instance to swap out as a preview that wouldn't have ruined a significant moment in this episode.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, it's not a big deal. That's why I said I won't try to exaggerate it too much. It's just I was ready to see 17 and Topo and just starting off, but I got you though. But moving on where the episode finally begins. So we basically get 17. He's dodging like 2 blast attacks from Topo, and Topo's using Hakai, and it's basically destroying rocks that 17 is trying to hide. And this pretty much is just a game of cat and mouse for the first part of the episode. 17's just dodging and running away because he can't do anything with Topo. So apparently 17 is still strong enough to evade all of Topo's attacks. And then Topo, he gathers an energy blast similar to Beerus' attack, the Hakai giant energy ball of destruction that Beerus gathered when he fought Goku. And then a blast hits him, and it turns out it's Frieza, who is back up and no-selling the Hakai blast, going like, "Oh, ho, 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 ho. You certainly got to toy with me earlier, didn't you, Hakai Shin Topo? This is a little token of gratitude." And then we get another callback to the Namek fight with Goku, where Going back to what we said in our last review, Linux, is that Frieza still ain't learned. He uses paralysis technique on Toppo and throws the rocks at him like he did against Goku. And of course, Toppo blasts out of it. Frieza's shocked, and he grabs Frieza by the throat and swings him around like a rag doll, and then blasts both him and 17. And Toppo, Frieza and 17's attacks aren't doing nothing. Toppo just walks out and goes, "Try as you will against me, this power of destruction. You'll never win. I shall not kill you off this fighting stage. Do you think flies don't destroy you?" Boy, I see Siri completely mistranslated that. I'll edit that in. Basically, he comes in and he is interrupted by Jiren, Vegeta, and Goku's fight. So before we get to that portion, when the fight actually got started, this is like the first, I think, 10 or so minutes of the episode. What was your thoughts on this? Frieza and 17, just basically no match for Toppo. Hakaishin.
So, I actually found it hilarious that Frieza went to paralysis when you clearly saw... So, once again...
It's like he's just going down the ranks of his attacks, like, I'll use my most powerful form, I'll use my most powerful attack, I'll use one of my semi-most powerful, I'll use my weakest... Like, dude, you're just going down the list.
Exactly, like, what got me was the fact that it worked initially, because Toppo didn't break out of it immediately. That's why I was like,
wait. His final form, no less.
Yeah, that's why I was like, how is this working? Especially considering, like, now... Okay, so, look, Frieza was around when Hit was still in the tournament, and we clearly saw what Jiren did to Time Skip. If that's the case, and Toppo is a god of destruction, Frieza, what made you think paralysis was going to be a good idea against Toppo?
Dude, you probably know this was good and well. This was put in here just to give old school fans like us some nostalgia, just to see Frieza do one of his coolest attacks, because I think we haven't seen a lot of this since, I mean, we get these attacks in the video games, but they probably wanted to just, once again, do more tribute to it. But it does end up making the characters look foolish, because, yeah, it's good nostalgia for us, but, like, when it comes to Frieza, like, what are you doing? It ain't gonna work!
It's just funny. I was just happy that it lasted for as long as it did, but granted, yeah, the moment I heard Hakai, it was a wrap. Yep, Frieza, you about to get bodied. Like, there's no saving you. There is no saving you. Luckily, it was not as bad as the previous one.
Oh, yeah.
Because that beatdown was brutal. But at least here, it was like, yo, come on, guys. You got to think of something. I just found it hilarious, though, that, like... So, all of this happened. Toppo blew up the stage in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Goku, Vegeta, and Jiren did not care whatsoever.
Well, they did stop, just so that Jiren could say, Koi. No, I'm just kidding. No, he stopped just to say...
they all three of them acknowledged that...
your decision.
Yeah, they all acknowledged, like, wait a minute, hold on, something's going on with Toppo. And then they immediately got right back to fighting. I just found that so funny to me, because it dawned on me, like, even how it was brought in with the episode.
As we go on this review, we'll see just how much Toppo's power actually mattered and why they kept on fighting.
Oh, yeah.
We'll definitely get to that. Speaking of Goku and Vegeta, so Goku and Vegeta, I notice, are now starting to get under Jiren's skin. They're starting to become a little bit of a nuisance to him. Maybe you want to go ahead and power up Jiren, and they won't be such a nuisance. But I digress. Basically. You've got attacks being thrown, and Jiren throws an attack that hits 17 and Frieza. 17 manages to escape. Frieza is nowhere to be seen, and I think we can bring this up towards the later of the episode. But for right now, this is sort of the writers writing Frieza out for now. And then from there, Vegeta and Toppo sort of look at Jiren and Toppo look at each other and they nod their heads. And Toppo decides, okay, let me go ahead and split them up. So he goes ahead and takes on Vegeta, and Jiren and Goku are left to face each other. So basically, you've got Vegeta does his final flash, and Toppo basically goes like, okay, and bam, that basically gets the better part of Vegeta. He kicks him, does a double axe handle, sending Vegeta to the ground, and Vegeta then kicks his leg, but Toppo then basically responds by kicking Vegeta back, and Vegeta during this fight, he's like, is this really the same guy? He's nothing like he was before. And we're getting some cool flashbacks of when they fought. They exchange some more blows, and this is a really cool part of this is what sort of the whole part of this episode is. Vegeta has a line where he goes like, after all that talk about justice, now you're talking destruction? That's quite a change. And Toppo's like, if justice can't protect our universe, then it's worthless. And then he kicks Vegeta into several rocks, and it ends up, Vegeta basically ends up in some other big final rock formation, pinned up, similar to when Vegeta pinned Goku to the rocks in their second fight in the DBZ anime. And you have Toppo at the end going like, a promise among Saiyans? Don't make me laugh. You won't beat me with such unnecessary things like that. I will survive at all costs. To that end, I cast aside everything unnecessary. And Toppo forms a big giant, what I like to call death ball of destruction, and says, Universe 7, be gone! And that attack comes towards Vegeta. So before we get into this part of the episode, clearly it is established that even for Vegeta's Super Saiyan Blue form that has gone beyond the regular Super Saiyan Blue, he struggles with Toppo and against all his Hakai blasts. So before we get to the second half of this fight, what is your thoughts on this first fight where Toppo's pretty much in control of Vegeta?
Okay, so actually, that form he's in, I'm starting to see it dubbed Ultra Blue.
Oh, well, I'm going to be going with the Piccolo term that we use in a few moments, bringing up here. But that's cool, too. Any form that, any name that can help us get some understanding what this form is.
Yeah, so from what I'm seeing, because I've actually been seeing this the past, over the past couple, hours since the episode's been released. Mm-hmm. And even the past couple of days, when Vegeta first showed it. A lot of people on the internet, and even if you go onto certain DBZ sites, are calling that form for Vegeta specifically Ultra Blue. It's kind of like the Super Saiyan 2 version of Super Saiyan Blue, by definition, if that's what we wanted to do. So to clear that up for the audience. So yeah, so Vegeta has Ultra Blue, Goku has Ultra Instinct.
That's a nice term. Let's see if it becomes official. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like they both have their own little ultra forms now.
But this, that line from Toppo, man, did he pick the wrong opponent to say that to? Because, okay, so guys, I'm pretty sure a lot of you watching are familiar with Dragon Ball Z in some form or in some capacity. And for anybody who's watched Dragon Ball, whether Vegeta was
definitely mostly, it'll most likely probably be just younger fans who haven't gone back to watch DBZ and mostly in the Super. So yeah,
yeah. Whether Vegeta was a villain, an anti-hero, or a hero, the essence of his character is completely comprised in pride of self.
Oh yeah.
Pride of who you are. Basically be proud of who you are, be proud of where you come from, and do not change under any circumstance for anybody. We are talking about a man who was under mind control. And when presented with an opportunity to get what he wanted, and when he was forced to do otherwise, broke the mind control of his own free will.
Yeah, just as Bobbity. The little cretin realized he couldn't control Vegeta at all.
So I say that to kind of lay the framework. Think about the individual we're messing with here. This is somebody who cannot stand. What did he tell Kaba when he was getting beat by those lower weight warriors in the tournament? And he said, somebody asked him, like, why would you help him? And he was like, it's not that I was helping you, out of pity. I don't like seeing weak Saiyans. And that's Vegeta instinctively reacting based off of his personal belief of what a Saiyan is. He's a Saiyan. Pure-blooded. Prince of Saiyans. So this is what Vegeta, everything in terms of value about being a Saiyan, everything, the man is going to protect it to his, to his dying breath. So for Toppo to not only say, I cast out my, my views, my love of justice, whatever you want to call it, not only to say that you cast it off, but to say that it was unnecessary is the equivalent to stabbing somebody like Vegeta in the heart, because you basically gave up. And, Vegeta's rebuttal to that line is better than his rebuttal to Black when he checkmates him, when Black is about to hit him with the scythe. Because Vegeta starts thinking about Bulma, Bola, and Trunks.
That's where we get to that really cool line. Yeah, he's sitting in the rock. It's coming to him, and he's like, cast aside everything. And he's like, screw that, Bulma, Trunks, bro. My promise to Kaba. My pride is a Saiyan. I'm not like you. I cast aside nothing. And then he powers up and he overpowers the Hakai Blast. And I love it from this moment. Vegeta is just basically blasting right through all his Hakai attacks. And Toppo is basically, there's a part where I think Toppo shoots the, he nails Toppo with a barrage of punches and then kicks him back, and then Toppo shoots more Hakai Blast, and it's just getting the boy where he's like, Hakai, 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 and Vegeta's like, boom, 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 just basically blowing them up. He's now destroying the Hakai. And I love the line where he goes like, you're a loser who can't even protect his own pride. I won't lose to someone like you. And Toppo basically keeps saying Hakai more, and Vegeta's just beating him up. And Vegeta, eventually, I love the part where Vegeta flies up to him, kicks the Hakai out of his hand, does another spin around and kicks him in the jaw, sending him bouncing back and down on the ground through the rocks. And Vegeta ends saying, I'll give you an attack too powerful to destroy. And just powers up, and all of us remember this, the final explosion. I love the callback here to Dragon Ball Z and Piccolo remembering what this attack is going to be. And they show a flashback from the remastered footage of Dragon Ball Kai, when he basically is going to, he blows himself up to try and take Majin Buu with him. Before we get on to that part, how do you feel about this, Linux? Because I know a lot of fans, it's kind of split on this. Some fans don't like when they use flashbacks, that they use the footage from Dragon Ball Kai, which is basically the old cel-shaded animation remastered in high definition, and some others wish that they use the footage, they use new footage where they make it with today's digital cel shading, kind of like what they did with Trunks going Super Saiyan for the first time in the future with Gohan, where they try to tell us that his hair was blue, even though we clearly saw it was purple before. But how do you like this? I personally as a longtime Dragon Ball fan, I like the callback. It's kind of like Super remembering its past and where it came from, and it's showing that, hey, we remember that, you know, the majority of the fans watching this grew up watching the original Dragon Ball Z, and for newer fans who might be watching Super, it kind of like shows that, hey, there's this older footage out there, so if you haven't watched Super, there's a whole nother story you haven't seen before Super. So I actually like it. What about you? Because I know some people feel that it's too inconsistent seeing it go from old animations to new animations for flashbacks. I just feel like it's cool because I think it's like super honoring where DBZ is from and not hiding from the fact that this is an older series. What's your thoughts?
When it comes to that, there's definitely, I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I don't feel like it's a bad thing because it's no different than if you were to watch the later Naruto episodes when they use flashbacks from the older footage. It almost seems fitting because it's a flashback to use the other footage. It doesn't bother me. Anybody who's nitpicking at that literally doesn't, or they have a one-dimensional look on visual storytelling. That's not meant to be a shot, but like really, anybody who has a problem with that doesn't understand the little nuances that come with storytelling. And something as simple as using older footage, maybe touching it up to not make it seem so jarring between the new animation and the old animation, but utilizing older footage not only makes it a callback, but it also gives it a sense of being vintage, you know, like this really did happen in the past. There's a little bit more authenticity attached to it versus just kind of redoing it. It almost looks sloppy when you redo scenes like that.
Yeah, I agree. And that when they did that retelling, that reanimated version of Trunks in going Super Saiyan for the first time, Super Saiyan, for those of you who know how it's pronounced in the Funimation dub, it did not look as good as the original animation. And honestly, when it comes to using just story for flashbacks, using footage from Dragon Ball Z, I would rather the animators use the flashbacks and take that time to edit new stuff for the actual animation. So I think it's a win-win, and I think for us, it's a lot of Super is based on nostalgia, so it's good to see when they can incorporate that. And I always like it. Just shows that you know, the past does matter when it comes to Dragon Ball Super, showing where these characters come from. And to end this fight off, we had Vegeta and Toppo both power up. So Toppo goes all out with his Hakai energy. Vegeta's going all out, and basically Toppo shoots the Hakai blast at Vegeta, and the Hakai energy completely swallows all of Vegeta's final explosion as it's building up. The Hakai energy starts, golden energy starts blasting out of it. So after this, it completely blows up the Hakai energy, and Toppo's like, oh, what? And the explosion basically completely wipes out Toppo, and it's a huge giant explosion, and when the flash clears, Toppo falls right there on. No, actually, he doesn't fall. His body teleports back in his regular state onto the bleachers, and Toppo is eliminated. My gosh, Vegeta beat this man so bad, he literally beat the fat back onto Toppo. He literally did. He literally did. And they're wondering, is Vegeta really sacrificing himself? And that's kind of what they were trying to tease with in the title of this episode. And I basically, I wasn't falling for it because I'm like, nah, they're not going to kill off Vegeta. Super's ending, and we all know Vegeta's coming back. So I didn't really fall for it. And sure enough, we get a shirtless Vegeta and a gloveless Vegeta. So I'm pretty sure for all the Vegeta fangirls out there, they got lots of eye candy for this episode. But overall, Vegeta having his shirt off, I feel like it's almost sort of a inauguration into Vegeta as a hero. Usually this type of battle damage is reserved for Son Goku, and it's kind of like saying Vegeta's now, yeah, he's like almost on that same heroic level as Goku. And Vegeta basically is still standing. Beerus states he's all out of energy, but Vegeta basically just gives us that simple line, "I'm not dead yet." And yeah, that's where it's coming down. So before we get to the ending of this episode, man, for me personally, this was tremendous. This was Vegeta's this is just like, I felt like I said when I went on my Facebook, I actually said thank you Toriyama, and thank you the writers for giving us, bar none, one of the coolest moments we have ever gotten with Dragon Ball, with Vegeta and the history of Dragon Ball, defeating such a high-level, powerful character, basically defeating a Hakaishin. This was huge for just Vegeta fans and Vegeta and Vegeta totally. And I loved it. This basically, what this episode accomplished, it really showed us, once again, reinforced us how much Vegeta has changed since Dragon Ball Z, just as a person, what he's fighting for. It's going to be really cool to hear Chris Sabat voice this, because usually it's reserved, more so to hear Goku mentioning his friends and what he's fighting for, and to hear Vegeta actually say this outside of just the time he did it against Fat Majin Buu. It's going to be really cool to hear this. And showing how much he's come along as a warrior. I loved Universe 7 explaining how, because, as Piccolo calls it, his Super Saiyan Blue and Beyond form, basically has strengthened his body so much he can withstand such a near self-sacrificing attack. I guess we're gonna have to find a new name to give it in the video games now, instead of calling it Final Explosion, just The Explosion or something. But yeah, this was, once again, really huge for Vegeta's, for Vegeta fans and everything. I loved it. It was great. And let's be honest, obviously we know this is coming down to Magate no Gokui Son Goku versus Vegeta. So I felt like this was giving Vegeta his big win, his big moment, because he's probably not going to obviously get it against Jiren. It'd be a great twist, but it's not going to happen. With that said in mind, Linux, I'll let you take the floor from here. What was this like for you, especially being such a big Vegeta fan?
Finally! Finally!
I knew you were going to be hyped about this.
Finally! Jesus Christ, my man bested a god of destruction. Vegeta is the GOAT. This was just great. Not only did Vegeta basically prove, like, at the end of the day, he's kind of right there with Goku. Let's not forget, guys, Goku couldn't beat Toppo in his base form. If you remember the preliminary tournament they had before this, Goku and Toppo were basically even. So use that as kind of like a gauge of power as of right now. This, I think you put it best. For Vegeta to come out on top, to be kind of battle damage, shirtless, gloveless. It's almost a homage that, he's right there with Goku. There's been a huge emphasis and a huge, is Vegeta going to get Ultra Instinct? Is Vegeta going to get Ultra Instinct? And I love how it's addressed early on in this anime. Vegeta says the best way possible when he fights Jiren. Kakarot can have his Ultra Instinct. I'll beat you in my own way. And this episode is basically that summed up to a T. Vegeta was outmatched, air quotes. He won because I think he's finally starting to accept or even figure out where and what he's fighting for now. Vegeta used to be all about self, and now it's about his family. It's about, maintaining his integrity as a Saiyan. If you noticed, so there's an interesting theory that I have with Vegeta. So something that you got to remember is Vegeta's been really, really wanting to go to Cabba's planet. Nobody, I think, has ever stopped and asked themselves why until you really think about it. Vegeta as a Saiyan now, Vegeta as a character now is in a much more mature place. early on, Vegeta on planet Namek, I think when asked about the Saiyans, says he doesn't miss them, his friends, or his family. But he has a huge interest in wanting to go to planet Sadal, which means I think Vegeta as a person has figured out what a Saiyan, he's made up in his mind what a Saiyan should be. And I think a lot of that has to do with Goku. I think he sees how far a Saiyan can push themselves when they're more righteous, when they're more when they're not evil. Instead of, because remember, he has a wish with the Super Dragon Balls. If he wanted to, he could bring Planet Vegeta back. Instead, he would much rather go to Cabba's planet. One, I think because he has an attachment to Cabba, but two, I think Vegeta wants to see the positive perspective on a Saiyan. I think he wants to see the other side of that coin. He's lived where Saiyans were ruthless and heartless, and I don't think he cared too much for Thin. He did it because that was how he was raised. I don't think he cared too much for that. And I think now that he has an opportunity to kind of see what his race is as a people of integrity, that's something that he's almost willing to put his life on the line for.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember Kaba telling him that the king of his planet reminds him of Vegeta and how he's a very prideful guy, but to know that he maintains that pride, but they're a much better race of people in terms of how they act and their morals compared to the Saiyajins that he knows, that he knew before Frieza blew up. It's definitely very interesting. I'm following with you 100%, man, on that.
Yeah, that's why, like, there's a lot, man. A lot of character development happened in this episode.
And, dude, you actually mentioned this shows that it's not even a power thing, because honestly, after the tournament of power, why would he be interested in seeing if there's anyone stronger? Because if there was someone stronger than Jiren, then you'd be questioning and wondering, well, why didn't they pick that person for to represent Universe 6? So it definitely has to be something on a more emotional level, not a power level. And I think that shows the fact that, once again, one of the big differences between Vegeta and Goku, Vegeta's not doing this just because he's like, oh, we might have somebody who's strong to fight. No, he's doing this because he wants to meet, maybe, like you said, a better version of his race of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. There's definitely something deeper to Vegeta's intentions. There's something honorable. There's definitely something honorable to Vegeta's intentions. And you see that become his driving force in this episode in particular, in terms of overcoming Topo. You have a battle of two dynamics. You have somebody who gave up everything. And now that I think about it, Vegeta was in that spot. He literally gave up everything to try to match up to Goku, and it didn't work when he gave up his free will to Babidi. So Vegeta, if anything,
another great callback to this flashback. That's why he did what he did, because he recognized the wrong that he did, and he was trying to atone for it.
Exactly. Like, Vegeta, if anything, knows how much that can backfire on you as a person. Because at the end of the day, that's not what should be driving you. And I think and once again, this has to deal with his rivalry with Goku. As much as Vegeta hates to admit it, one of the things that I like about him as a character, he's never afraid to admit when Goku teaches him something. As much as frustrated as he gets, as annoyed as he gets with Goku, he always gives Goku his respect in showing him that there's maybe a different angle to this. And Vegeta, when Topo, goes on his whole rant about, I had to get rid of what was unnecessary, justice, means nothing to me, this, that, and the third. And Vegeta's like, no, like, I've done that before. I've done that before. I thought, me giving up my, responsibilities as a family man, me giving up the feelings that I've developed for those that are close to me now, the planet that I'm starting to call home, I've been in the position where I've cast that all aside in terms of power, and at the end of the day, I still came up in second place to the person that I gave all of that up for just to try to beat. And it makes so much sense for Vegeta when he's put in this position now against somebody who's done it to be like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. And I am not about to give up everything now, when that's exactly what I'm fighting for. It just makes so much sense. It's really, really poetic. It's really, really great for character development for Vegeta, the character. I definitely can't wait to see how Christopher Sabat delivers that line. Because there are some heartfelt lines in this episode.
Right.
In
That's what I was saying, because I think the only time we've heard lines like this from Vegeta is when that very scene we saw against Majin Buu. So to actually hear this more is going to be excellent, because we get a lot of that.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's just my thoughts. It's such a good place for the character. If Vegeta gets eliminated now, I actually wouldn't be mad.
Oh yeah,
I'd probably be annoyed.
He's no doubt had his big moment. But I don't think Vegeta's done just yet. We'll get to that in a little bit.
No.
But you stating everything that you just said right there wants me to lead to something that I really wasn't thinking about now. Now, we're doing this. We recorded this review a day after the episode, so it did give me some time to think about it. Like you very much told me in one of our previous reviews, that when you calm down from all the fanboyness from seeing Future Trunks go Super Saiyan Rage, you kind of thought like, yeah, after I calmed down from seeing Vegeta have this epic moment, it kind of made me think. I was listening to some other fans, and I was like, did they drop the ball on Toppo as a Hakaishin? Like, he was built up so much in the last episode. That vicious beatdown on Frieza. And I even mentioned earlier in the review, Frieza no-selled it, and Vegeta basically took him out. One power-up after thinking of his friends, of his family and his friends, and he's basically just destroying Toppo. He outclassed him completely and beat him. And, like, it's a good moment for Vegeta, but at the end of the day, it's almost like Toppo was he was built up just to be a big jobber to Vegeta and help get over Vegeta's new Super Saiyan Blue and Beyond form, or whatever they're going to officially call it, or Super Saiyan Ultra Blue, as you were putting it. And what you were saying as I was listening to you speak there, how awesome would it have been if I'm gonna call back to this a little bit later, what we got coming up to talk about. It reminded me when Juhachigo was fighting Ribrianne, and Ribrianne down bashed her husband, and at that moment I was like, finish her. And then right before she gets erased, she takes a look at Krillin and Juhachigo and goes like, oh, maybe there is a love deeper beyond just how people look. I don't remember if that's the exact line, but that was kind of what she learned. Losing to Lazui, she learned that, okay, even though she doesn't think Krillin looks that attractive, she understands there's a deeper love there, and there's other loves. I thought it would have been nice if Toppo would have had that moment and realized that there's a point to what Vegeta's saying. Maybe I lost because I let go of who I am, and maybe that would have made him go back to the drawing board and realize it's important to stay true to who you are as a person. We didn't get that moment, and they just kind of went right to the ending of Jiren, and some people I know felt like they kind of dropped the ball on this. Like, all that build up, and they wasted Toppo. And he was basically just there to help get over, ultimately, Vegeta's forms. And a lot of people mentioned Toppo did not get a lot of eliminations, and he was built up to be a strong guy since the beginning of this arc. And, yeah. And when I think about that, I do understand where people are coming from on that. Like even here, we just spent the last several minutes talking about how great this was for Vegeta, but realistically, should Toppo have gotten more? Like, I was actually expecting, based on the preview, and you said they're good at doing this in the preview, they made it look like Vegeta was going to have a big struggle. At no point in that previous preview was there a hint that Vegeta would actually be a match for Toppo. So I thought maybe this was going to go on a couple episodes. Of course, I think at this point we've got about like 4 or 5 something episodes left of Dragon Ball Super. I don't know the exact count, but it's getting low. So obviously at this point the animators were under time constraints, because they just got to basically get in, get out, and hurry up and get to the finale with Goku and Jiren. So I felt like if Dragon Ball Super wasn't ending, they could have have this go on for 2 more episodes and kind of get those more emotionals, but they kind of really had to get everything out that they needed to, and half of this episode was 17 and Frieza taking on Toppo. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think this was rushed, and just coming off how well they built up Toppo as a Hakaishin at the end of the episode?
So, at first I felt like you. where I was actually angry that Topo was almost undersold. But then this goes back to when I said at the beginning of this episode, guys, I have a lot of theories. And this is theory number 2. You already heard my Vegeta one. Why do you think if Topo had access, or this is what this should make you think. If Topo had access to this God of Destruction power all this time, why bring it out now?
Because it's the Dragon Ball way of logic.
Actually, see, that's the thing. That would make sense if there wasn't this context. And I'm just going to jump toward...
Oh, do you know I agree with you. He should have just gone to Hakaishin and ran roughshod through everybody.
No, but there's a reason he didn't. You see what I mean? There's a reason he didn't. And at first I thought the same thing, like, oh yeah, this is Dragon Ball logic, until I started thinking back toward previous episodes. So think back to when Topo went Hakai. Jiren is fighting Goku and Vegeta, and Jiren says a line, and it doesn't seem impactful then until you think about it now in context. Jiren stops the fight. Goku and Vegeta both stop. They react to Topo's energy. But Jiren looks back, and he says specifically, so you finally made your choice, Topo. That's number 1. At the end of this episode, Jiren also says 2 very key lines. Once again, they almost seem like he's being an a-hole, but in context, you got to think of it like this. So when Topo's laying in the balcony, the scene or the ending scene of this episode is Jiren standing on the platform. You have Goku basically standing at the base of it, Vegeta in the crater staring up at Jiren, and then 17, who's also holding kind of his arm on like the far side of the pillar. And Jiren is looking up at the stands. So everybody's, congratulating Topo. Topo's apologizing to, the God of Destruction.
That moment where he looks up. Oh, pathetic. I expected more from you. And they're like, huh? And Goku goes like, hey, how can you say something like that? That wasn't very nice. And then he gets kicked. Ah! Almost like Jiren's like, get the F out of here with that.
But then...
that moment right there, the call back to Ribrianne and 18, that moment had me go like, oh, F Jiren for that. Like a lot of people bash on Jiren because he has no charisma and just big and strong. And I'm just going to wait it out. But now we're seeing some more arrogance out of him. And that moment right there kind of made me go like, okay, yeah, I'm booing Jiren now. And I'm ready for Goku to go Magate no Goku and kick his butt for that because Topo fought his heart out for them. Jiren ends up saying,
you gained this much power without casting anything aside. Congratulations on defeating Topo. Well done.
And then he smiles and he goes like,
now feast your eyes on this.
Powers up, and that's how we end the episode. So Jiren's finally getting serious. Continue.
There's something to that though. There's a line you missed.
Mm-hmm.
When he says that, before he tells them congratulations on beating Topo, when you really got to pay attention to that context. When he looks at Topo, he looks at him in disappointment. Not in disappointment as in, you had all this power, I was expecting you to know how to use it. More so disappointment like that was it. Remember, he tells him, pathetic. I expected more. And then immediately goes after Goku and Vegeta, specifically Vegeta, and says, you were able to defeat Topo without giving up anything. Congratulations. What does that mean? Also, San, call back to when him and Goku first started fighting when it was the 3v6 or the 3v5. Remember his conversation with Goku? And Jiren asked him, why does he want to become stronger? To which Goku responds in typical Goku fashion, I don't know, I just want to be stronger. Why do you want to be stronger? And Jiren says something interesting, and I told you this in the last, I think it was like 2 reviews
which
back.
Is beyond power.
So there's clearly something that this universe knows in terms of achieving higher power that Universe 7 doesn't. Because Jiren was expecting, like, he tells Vegeta, you who defeated Topo without giving up anything, congratulations. What does that specifically mean? It's almost as if Jiren himself is familiar with the context in which he needs, or in which an individual can become stronger, or in which an individual can surpass a god of destruction. With that kind of being the premise of his character, we've heard the Kaioshins mention it. There was a point early on when Jiren was holding the spirit bomb with his eyes where the Kaioshin goes, both Son Goku and Jiren, neither one of them could have attained their power through normal means. Clue, once again, another callback to this specific instance of there being something extra to get to this level. And then he proceeds to say, but Jiren, more so, I feel that we're barely seeing the tip of his power. There's something else when it comes to improvement. There's something else when it comes to them getting stronger. There's something else when it comes to them getting stronger that we don't know. There's an extra layer here. And I feel like in this next episode, when they actually engage Jiren, this is almost going to be similar to a training session, similar to how Goku and Vegeta have been dealing with Whis, where he's fighting them, but he's also teaching.
Just 4 minutes left to go. Oh my.
And it's interesting because you got to remember, as powerful as Jiren is, why let the tournament drag on this long?
Oh yeah, I've been wondering that. The next episode, a little bit, it's basically teasing that this is it for 17. It's his last stand. So Jiren's going to finally power up at full power, yet 17 has a barrier that outlasts, based on the preview, Goku and Vegeta, who are in their normal form on the ground, and we're supposed to believe Lapis still has a chance, and it's like, what type of power does Lapis have that he can still hold his own somewhat against a fully powered Jiren? Why not use that power against Topo? Or is Jiren just going to continue to toy around with them even more, when at this point we'll be a lot more closer to 3 minutes? And I mean, the more you toy with them, the more Universe 7 is winning, because it's not about who's the strongest and who beats down the most. It's about how many people are left. And he really is taking his time. But I do know you're getting into the theories here. I mean, it's really good to theorize and everything, but I kind of just wonder, is there really a bigger plan, a bigger motive, like what you've been theorizing? Because that'll be awesome. Or is this just more typical stuff that we get in the Dragon Ball series, where it's just the villain is toying around until the very last minute, and then Goku and them go all out, and it's like, bam, they reach their most, right in the height of battle, they reach their most powerful form. It's like, yeah, because I like Jiren using this much power could have ran roughshod through everybody. That was my whole thing with the Tournament of Power. Like, everybody go to your full power forms, blow up everything, use a big giant explosive wave like Vegeta did. So the weak will be thrown out, the strong will survive, and that gives you 40-something minutes to go all out and see how you can beat everybody. Of course, that's not what's going in there. But yeah, that's what we got. And also, Frieza is not shown. Frieza's not shown, and they're trying to put no attention on Frieza, so I almost wonder if everyone's going to get eliminated, and Frieza ends up basically sneaking in a victory, or he just stands up as the last person left. Like, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Or maybe time runs out, and Goku and Jiren almost has Goku defeated, and it turns out, hey, Frieza's still there, so there's still another person left, and yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Did you want to tie in your theory though to any of this going forward?
I just have one last thought, and it involves Jiren. The little sneak peek that they show you guys. I don't know if you paid attention, Son. Jiren has 7 different energies floating around his body.
Oh yeah, the cool fiery aura. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
There are 7 different auras within that, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious because let's say, for instance, Jiren is the one that they were talking about when they said there is a being that is stronger than the gods of destruction. Okay. Nobody's said... I'm curious to see where Jiren's power stacks up to Zeno.
Oh, we know he couldn't even touch Zeno. He couldn't even touch most of... He probably can't even touch some of the gods, honestly.
No, that's the thing. I don't think... Well, no, that's not true.
I said some, not all. I said some of the gods. I'm mostly thinking of Beerus.
Oh, you don't think Jiren's stronger than Beerus?
Absolutely not. No. I think Beerus' shock reaction is mostly because he knows Goku and Vegeta are struggling so much with this guy. Because even when Whis mentions Magate no Goku, he asks Beerus, "Are you sweating?" And he's like, "No." He's like, he realized Goku's getting closer to him, but yeah. I don't think he's stronger than Beerus. But I think he's definitely stronger than a lot of the weaker other gods.
I'm curious. I really want to know where the power gap sits, because...
Well, unfortunately for you, Linux, this is Dragon Ball Super, and the king of explanations is something that you will not find on its resume, unfortunately. Believe me, I wish there was lots of them, but it is what it is.
When Whis mentioned that, the god of destruction I think he was actually talking about was Belial, because I found it funny. If you go back and look at the context of that, this is like searching way before. But when they're making the joke about Beerus losing the arm wrestling contest, Whis says specifically, there's a being in that god's universe that's stronger than him. So you see what I mean? I honestly think Jiren is stronger than Beerus. Now, is he stronger than the other gods, the ones whose universes are protected? Who knows? But I do think Jiren is stronger than Beerus.
You know what?
He's either stronger or at Beerus's level. Because I find it interesting that Beerus, if you notice, when things are happening, even with Topo, I found it interesting Beerus's reactions, the way they animated them. It wasn't Beerus being scared, but Beerus being really concerned.
Yeah, I think most of his concern is mostly because he knows Goku and Vegeta, because he kind of, the way he kind of broke down, he understood Topo's power, but I felt like it was kind of more like he understood Topo's power up against Goku and Vegeta, because he's even pointing out his weakness, Topo's weakness as a Hakaishin, so, yeah, but, I was actually going to say, though, we will have to wait to find out on the next episode to see how strong Jiren really is once he reaches full power, because how poetic would it be if the ending of Super is Goku and Vegeta, or I guess particularly just Son Goku surpassing Beerus? That's where Dragon Ball Super started, with Battle of Gods movie, and then this is where we get to, and we'll see if it goes into the next movie. But yeah, it'd definitely be interesting. It's going to be interesting because I feel like if Jiren's going full power, we should just see him run roughshod right through Vegeta, Frieza, Lapis, and then Goku. And I think we got a little sneak peek of when Goku's going to go into his Magate no Goku form and everything. But yeah, man, it should be interesting. But hey, all the theories you just pointed out, I hope there is something more. I just wonder how much time do they really have left to explore all this stuff with Dragon Ball Super coming to an end very, very, very soon. But hey, it's been a pleasure breaking down Dragon Ball Super with you again. I hope everyone out there has enjoyed the listen to. We'll be back with a review for Dragon Ball Super episode 127. It is getting down to the wire, guys, and I'm glad that they are going all out with these ending fights. I'm looking forward to the finale, which I'm guessing is going to go about 2 or 3 episodes between Goku and Jiren. So it's definitely going to be interesting. So with that said in mind, I'll let you go ahead and get your plugs out the way.
Definitely, guys. If you guys enjoy this, I'm a YouTuber, gamer. If you want to check out that content, if you want to see commentary, definitely go to my YouTube at TheLinuxVirus. You can follow me on Twitter at TheLinuxVirus, and also on Instagram
And
at
my
TheLinuxVirus.
plugs. So if you obviously are a fan of Dragon Ball, shonen manga, or anime adapted from shonen manga, make sure to check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception, as it's based on those types of genres. I currently have lots of videos such as the teaser trailer and the behind the scene interview videos right here on my channel, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as I release more content regarding Battle of Deception, Dragon Ball, and even WWE if you are a professional wrestling fan. And make sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at SONGOSHUAKU. All links will be in the description below. Take care!